Yeah, tier list for music. I think that would be a difficult one for me. That'd be super difficult. It would just be like everything would be A tier or above. It would just be, is it A tier or is it S tier? Like, there's nothing else.
You're counting on you, kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why rankings and tier lists get so many views, despite the fact that people get annoyed by them or like, you know, all that kind of thing. They're always popular. I think people watch them looking for either validation for their own opinions, or they're looking to, you know, fight basically. So either way, you kind of get what you're looking for with tier lists and rankings. So can't go wrong. Now, one thing I do want to quickly check is, yeah, I'm thinking I might need to build more specific weapons for Omega Ruins. I don't know if just using my Celestials would be enough. It probably will, but I feel like especially in Omega having First Strike is good, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. At some point I think I might have to start basically having a First Strike on one of the capture weapons. Whoop. Okay. This might be a bit of a problem. I need to rely on Waka. I forget, if you kill them with an overdrive, do they still count as being captured? They do, right? If I just Dragon Fang these guys just to get 3 at once before they run, does that work? I think it does. No, it doesn't, not with overdrives. Shit. Damn it. Okay, well, fair enough. Trying to remember if there was a good way to do this. Let me see. I think if I land the hit, I should one hit KO them. So I think it's more about can you land the hit or not. We'll have to rely on Waka. Okay, Waka can definitely do it, but I don't think Lulu can. Even if she hits, I don't think she. Yeah. That's fine. Waka will at least get 2 of them. Nice. Auron can do it too. That worked out pretty well. I reckon for music, that would have to be a tier list that the community votes on about its own tier list. Yeah, I mean, community tier lists, I guess, are a thing too. I'm not sure how exactly I would construct that. I guess I could probably, like, yeah, I'd have to research how that's actually done. But, yeah, could be a thing. I could compare it to my own. Okay, let's get these guys 2x2. I think I might equip Lulu's Master Thief here. And if she ever gets a turn, we'll use that to steal here instead. There might be some good stuff like Lunar Curtains and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think she's going to get a turn because she has probably the least agility of these guys. Oh, she will. Wow. Nice. There you go. We'll take what we can get. I'd love to see the age data for a music tier list. Yeah. I mean, I think the audience for this channel is mostly like, I would say 25 to 40. I think that covers the big majority. Like, we don't have that many like under 21s, for example, and we don't have that many over 45, I would say. So it's kind of on like the mid to older end. I think there's not a lot of I think like teenagers here and stuff, like representing the new generation of gamers. So I do think it's nostalgia kind of biased on the channel. So I think, yeah, so Desert 52, that's super cool. If there's anyone outside of those brackets, I would say you're probably in the minority. Shinra, I think I can believe that. Yeah, I think we're more likely to get someone over 45 than someone under 21, let's say, or like a teenager. I think that's less likely. Teenagers just find me too boring. I don't have good like TikToker kind of like modern day entertainment energy. Yeah, I think the chat's generally proving what I'm saying. Okay, it's good. These guys have appeared as well. I think I'll continue to steal with Lulu, but this isn't like a dangerous enough general situation. Okay. I would have to talk at ×3 speed. To be fair, I think I talk relatively quick. I don't think I'm a slow talker, but it's just more like, I don't know, just energy. And well, definitely it's the type of content as well. As I keep saying, this type of content that teenagers just aren't watching Final Fantasy X stuff. And when I say that, I just mean like in general. Of course, there's going to still be plenty of them kind of discovering Final Fantasy X and that kind of thing, but the golden era of Final Fantasy, which for me is still 6 to 10, like the majority is us guys. So obviously, because a lot of the content I put out is from that era, I think it's less likely to obviously attract a certain crowd. So. Yeah, that's the thing. So that's why I still believe this whole like general narrative of trying to kind of bring in the next generation of like 13 to 19-year-olds and get them into Final Fantasy. Yes, obviously, if that happens, that's awesome, and it kind of needs to happen long term. But I think gearing your release towards being able to do that, like too much, I think that just comes at too big a cost to the generational gap that we have. Like basically everyone in the chat pretty much has compared to those guys. So a lot of Iron Giants here, which is generally a good thing. Yep, that's what I always say. The time span between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy X really is that short. It's absolutely insane that they were able to do that. We've grown like so accustomed to having to wait so long between games. Obviously, there's reasons for that. I don't think it's fair to kind of ask companies to pump out like Final Fantasy mainline release level stuff, like 3 games in 5 years or whatever. I think that's a bit unfair, but I think waiting like 5 years per game, like 4 years, 5 years, like we've gotten very used to that. But that's why I think the whole like remake thing is still nice. Like the mid-level remake, as I call it, it just allows you to do more, basically. You can put out like a game every 18 months instead of every 4 years, whatever. And well, I think it's like the whole the companies pushing the same game for 6 years. I think it just seems like riskier to me, because if you have this kind of development or like publishing style where you publish a game every like a major game every 4 to 5 years, that's fine. But it just feels like increasingly like you put all of your eggs into one basket, where if it doesn't do well, it's going to take you like 4 years, 5 years to basically make a better one and hopefully win people back. And so it's like if you release, I don't know, 3 games in 5-6 years, and one of the 3 was pretty bad, it's like you can probably kind of deal with that. But if you've been kind of hyping it up and waiting and getting people to be like, hey, this is going to be the best game ever, and people wait all that time and then it disappoints a bit, and then it's like, well, people are like, well, do I really want to wait 4 or 5 years for the next time they do this to me? And so I'm still not sure that's the best model for every developer. Like, I guess in that sense, for example, Rockstar nailed it with like Red Dead and GTA. Like, they can do it, but that's just very like, I don't think that model really is very applicable to a lot of developers. I think you have, if you do it, like it's very risky if you don't make a game that's as good and as popular as the GTAs of like the last 20 years or whatever, or Red Dead. So. Yeah, I guess like Skyrim's one of those games, like if you truly like even, that's why FromSoft is in such a weird position, because they're one of the only companies I think making games of like the level that they're making as consistently as they are. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I think people would be happy to wait like 4 or 5 years for the next FromSoft thing because they're so good, you know, like at this stage you're pretty convinced it's going to be awesome. But they're just like, no, like every 2-3 years we'll give you something incredible. Just they're on a hell of a streak. Thank you for the donation, Jacob. Appreciate that and the kind words. Glad you've been enjoying the content. Most of those games have online about them. Yeah, exactly. That's definitely one reason why they can still be geared towards that kind of longevity as well. But I mean, even between some of like the older ones, there's still a decent time gap. Alright, surely we must be nearing the capture limit for these guys now. See? There we go. Isn't GTA 6 coming soon? It's like sometime in 2025, I think. So it depends if that fits your definition of soon. I think it's in like the next 12 months. Hey Lou, welcome to the stream. So we're almost done here as well. We are deep into monster capturing. It's been an hour and 15. We're making okay progress here. Like, we're not going to finish it by the end of this session, I think, but I'm pretty certain in the next session we'll definitely get to close to the end. The trouble is, this team here is like, they're strong, but by the time we get to like Cavern of the Soul and Faith Gagazette level, they're not going to be able to just blitz everything out and capture things very quickly, and so we'll have to see. It might be quite a grind to complete the rest of the capturing. Reneguy, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. GTA's release schedule in the PS2 was also pretty crazy. Yeah, that is true. Like the PS2 era, that's when I first started playing GTA. That was an absolutely insane era that they had there. And then they were able to kind of change their release / business model, I guess, and it worked for them. I assume they're making more money now than they did when they were pumping out all of those games, but I think still like it's kind of simple, but it really often just comes down to making a bloody good game. Like, you know, if the reason all of these things tend to work is because they make a great game. Like all these games we're talking about, like the PS2 era GTAs were all basically amazing games. Final Fantasy, Golden Era 6 to 10. Yes, of course they have, you know, every one of those games has their crowd that didn't like them or some controversy or whatever, but come on, let's be honest, 6 to 10, for the most part, they're all great games. You know, Skyrim, great game. GTA 5, great game. Red Dead Redemption, great game. It's like, well, you know, you kind of have to make a great game, you know. So you can do whatever release schedule you want and make games as quickly as you want, but if you're not making great games that people love, then there's just no, it doesn't matter what your strategy is really. So that's why, like, I'm just like, I also feel like that's a distraction. Again, if we're bringing it back to Square Enix and Final Fantasy, for future games, I feel like this idea of, you know, we want to make sure the next generation, like let's say the developers want their kids to get into Final Fantasy and stuff. And I'm like, I get the sentiment and that's great, but I'm not sure that they were designing games like that in the past. Like, I'm not sure that was their kind of philosophy when they were making Final Fantasy VII. And I just feel like if you try to make a game with that type of design philosophy, then it probably is a bit of a distraction as well, and it kind of gets you a bit further away from potentially making the game you want, like, that would be the best game to make. So that's why I'm not too sure. They just need to focus on their creative vision and what's just going to be the best game. and if they really do make an amazing game, it'll sell. Rebirth was unfortunate for that, I think, because it's like the middle child of a trilogy, but I do think it's the best game, the best Final Fantasy game that they've made in a really long time. Like, if Remake was as good as Rebirth is, and they did it as just like one giant game, I fail to believe that if it was that good, it got the reviews that it got, and we enjoyed it as much as like the majority of the community did, and it was a one single game, like one commitment, then I think that game would have sold incredibly well, and it would have done so well that I think that's what would have probably brought in a lot of new players. It would just be a lot of FOMO and be like, oh my god, everyone's talking about this game, everyone's buying this game. It's like, it's an amazing remake of a classic, and then that would have probably served them better, I think, than what they've done now, because I feel like Rebirth in that sense got a little bit almost wasted, because they did an incredible job, but it's just basically no one new was buying that game regardless of how good it was. It's a bit of a shame. Yeah, definitely when it comes to Rebirth, that's still my biggest criticism. It has been from the start. I think it's an incredible game, but I think there was just like 30% too much quote-unquote stuff to do. Like turning everything into a mini-game, like the world intel, I felt like if they condensed it down like 30%, and my total runtime wasn't 103 hours, it was like closer to 70. When I did the equivalent amount of stuff in the game, I think it would have been even closer to being like perfect. But for what it's worth, it was still all in. It was amazing, and well, for almost all of it, it was my decision to obviously make the run that long and do everything anyway. And there were still things that I decided not to do, and I think that's why I still enjoyed the game as much as I did. I think some people, they have this thing where it's like, in that scenario, that's why the discourse around it is a bit difficult, because there's always like, well, if you didn't like it, if you think there's too much stuff to do, just don't do it. And I don't like that kind of talk, because like, I don't think it works like that. It's, you know, it reminds me a little bit of actually Crash Bandicoot 4, where I ended up not liking the philosophy and the design of the game, because if you try to complete a level by getting all of the boxes, or trying to get every box you can see and trying to, you know, play it that way, it's just not as fun. It's just too much of a grind. It's just too difficult for the sake of being hard. And then if your response to that is, well, just don't try and get all of the boxes, then that's just not fair. Like, that's just not how you play a game like that. And I think for Final Fantasy Rebirth, the whole idea of, well, if you thought there was too much stuff, just don't do it then, I think that's difficult. Like, it's very easy to say, but while you're playing the game and you have like world intel appearing and you're naturally exploring around and you're finding stuff to do, to actively just push that away all the time and play the game, I think that's just kind of a bit unfair. And so most people kind of, they do basically almost everything anyway, because they kind of feel like they have to. And so that's why I don't like that. And so I don't think that's just a fair answer to, you know, if there was too much stuff in the game. But for me personally, I'm one of those people that can kind of, to some degree, I can draw the line. And so I did do a lot of stuff, but I saved myself maybe 10, 15, 20% of the kind of potential frustration that would come from doing too much. Some people, they just can't do that. They almost get sort of locked into having to do it. And I get that whole thing. But for me, that's why I can still rate it as highly as I did, while acknowledging that I think it was too much. Because like, there was still some stuff that I just refused to do because it was just too much. So, and yeah, Coryphean, basically that's generally what I'm trying to say. It pushes the burden of curating what is and isn't fun from designer to player, and ultimately blames people for not having fun. Yeah, I mean, in general, that's what I'm getting at. And so I do think, to some degree, like, the game should kind of dictate what you need to do, if that makes sense. And that's why, like, expecting the player to be able to make the right call every time, because it's difficult. Like, let's say you make a decision, you go to a new area, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do all of the world intel, I'm going to complete everything, get the high score and everything. You go down that road. you might make the wrong decision. And like if the game's not designed well enough for it, even if you make that decision, it still ends up being wrong. But like if you were to just make it less in the first place, you wouldn't have as many people going down that wrong road in the first place. And so I think it would ultimately probably help. So yeah, I still think that's generally just my only criticism of Rebirth on any real level. But one that I personally mitigated enough that it didn't stop it from being my favorite Final Fantasy experience in a very long time. But yeah, that's my little kind of monologue on that. Have we caught everything here? I got sidetracked into talking about that stuff. I was autopiloting. Badisly, I appreciate that. Thanks for watching the boss rush. Yeah, I think we caught everything here, right? I'm just going to check the Cactuar one last time. Yeah, I think we're done here. We're going to move on. Yeah, I think everyone got sidetracked. Need gold elements still. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to that. Let's see if player 1701 is right. Hopefully we'll encounter a gold element. Arbitrarily locking the truth about the fate of Wedge and Avalanche stuff behind random choker Hong Kong. Not good game design. But yeah, I think I would generally agree with that. And well, obviously that's kind of the problem as well. You're not really aware of what the reward for doing it is going to be. Like people like us, obviously, you assume that if you're going to do a mini game, or like you're doing like extra exploration, you might find something that's going to be kind of important, and you're not just doing it for the sake of ticking a box. So if you're kind of doing it with the expectation of that, and maybe again you don't get what you want, then that also kind of helps to speed up the burnout as well. Just got the Eruga medicine captured as well. Okay. Yeah, I think the south region is going to throw up more of the... We have captured gold elements, but not in enough numbers here. The north section is a bit more catered towards the big enemies. So I think 1701, you are right. We'll do that. That wasn't going to happen. I'm just mad that Clive looks like that in Final Fantasy 16. What's wrong with Clive's look? He looks cool. Oh, that's the problem, I see. Oh, these pesky Final Fantasy characters and their hotness, huh? Final Fantasy 16 almost feels like a Final Fantasy spin-off than the mainline entry. Yeah, I mean, I did voice that at times, and I stand by it. It does sometimes feel more spin-offy. I think ultimately by the end of it, it still felt like, yeah, okay, this is a mainline Final Fantasy, but there were definitely more moments in 16 where I felt like that than like other releases. Rinna guy, I'll pretend I didn't read that. How dare you? How dare you not like the smooth tones of the legendary Ben Starr? I think still for 15, one of the things that still made it feel FFE to me was still like I think 15's a bit tough because it had so much build up as well. It started off as like versus 13, and while it was versus 13, it still felt very Final Fantasy to me. And then like once the game started, it was like, you know, we still had a bit more of a true party kind of situation with the boys and all that. So it crossed the line for me in terms of feeling like a Final Fantasy game, where it did feel like a Final Fantasy game. But I agree, I mean, I don't think it was a particularly strong entry on that front. Oh, Karifi, you didn't play it in English? Interesting. What did you think of the German voice performances? I assume you played in German, right? I've never played a game in any language other than yeah, English and Japanese. I don't think I've ever played a game in Turkish. I think I heard the Uncharted games have Turkish voice acting. I should play an Uncharted game in Turkish at one point. Ah, the French voice is cool. Yeah, I think Uncharted is one of the only big games that I know of that I would have played myself that actually has Turkish voice acting. Yeah, maybe we'll do like an Uncharted run through in Turkish. I think Uncharted 2 definitely had it, or was it Uncharted 3? Alright, let's finish this off. Still capturing the gold elements, bloody hell. Daniel Berry, welcome to the stream, good to see you. The Final Fantasy 7 Remake French dub was amazing, what's up with that? Fair play, man. Still capturing gold elements, wow. Surely now just like one more. Okay, there we go. Should be ready to move on to Makalania now. Alright, let's do that. I don't know one word in Turkish, kid. It's a good word to know. If you're only going to know one word, I guess it's not too bad. It's so funny, I literally never noticed until I did the Ultimania Secrets video where they did interviews with Uematsu, Hamauzu, and Nakano about the soundtrack. I never noticed the ticking clock sound in the background of this track. And once I heard them talk about it in development, I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool. I literally just completely, my brain didn't process that that's what it was. It's awesome. Okay. Here we go. Are we in danger? Like, this is the part where we're gonna start to get damaged a fair bit if we're not careful. The ticking is legendary and was a complaint by most players, something that Final Fantasy II needed to connect two themes of Thunder Plains. Is there no encounters in this bit? I think this screen doesn't have the money to, or does it? It does. Right, let's get going. Yeah, we're going to start missing more and more of these guys now. In Japanese, Sin is pronounced Shin. It means that. That's why I always used to joke about the fact that like, Sid has the most like accurate, you know, the whole Final showdown with Sheen. He actually has the more accurate representation of Sin. Yeah, I want to put Tidus on there because he has better accuracy, but his strength stat is so low that he just wouldn't impact the game. I really want to see you play all the game content of Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. Yeah, maybe, but I've never been that motivated. And one reason I'm not is because I did lose my save. If I didn't lose my save, I was considering doing the Pitios dungeon thing. I'd mentioned that a few times, and I realized that my save is gone, so I kind of had to abandon that idea. I just don't have it in me to play like a new game, get towards like the extra content, and then kind of start again. Like that one for me would kind of feel like a bit of content for the sake of content. I'd just be doing it because I want to make content on it, not because I enjoy the game enough for that. My playthrough, I think, plus doing the DLCs and stuff was enough for me. Yeah, those water R's hit hard. This one shouldn't be too bad. I think in general, like, everything appears pretty frequently here. There isn't anything that's particularly hard to capture. Then we get to head to Beaconell. As I said, for now I think we're on track to maybe get to the Sunken Cave or something like that. I might go on a little further just to kind of get it done. We'll see. The only one that's a little bit rarer here sometimes is the Zephos. Sometimes it appears like 4 times in 5 fights. There you go. And then sometimes it just refuses to appear. But yeah, I'm just a little bit worried that once we get to the more difficult stuff, Waka is basically the only one that can hit the lizards and the flyers. Like even now, if Auron or Lulu tries to hit the lizards here, like they basically fail. So we're gonna have to start using some more tricks once we get to that level. That's why I want to steal more stuff like sleeping powders and dream powders and that kind of thing to make my life a little bit easier. Hey Dean, welcome to the stream. Yeah, the accuracy is definitely bad. We're still getting some hits in on these guys, as you saw Lulu still making hits sometimes, but I think it's just going to become increasingly bad. So yeah, Tidus, for anyone curious, let's have a quick look at the stats again. I've been talking about it, but I think it's good to have a little refresher because they are randomized stats. Well, randomized thanks to the sphere grid. But yeah, his agility is excellent, but his accuracy is 14, but his strength is only 23, unfortunately. So yeah, Lulu literally is notably more powerful than he is, but her accuracy is only 5. Waka, accurate as always, because he has the higher base, and then only 9 for Auron. Do we have any accuracy purple spheres? Do we happen to come across any? Something I've never checked. No, unfortunately not. Yeah, Lulu's very strong in this run. That's part of the reasons why I've liked it. The Lulu backslap counter attack has been one of my favourite things about this entire run. And I always bump into this one. Did you revisit all the Chambers of the Faith yet? No. Dark Valapor, right? I think we just got Anima, and I think that was it. It's not coming home to England. It's not looking like it at the moment. They need to up their game. They 100% have the personnel to do it, but they, for some reason, they're just not playing. They're not playing right. I'm also in the. I've never been a huge fan of Gareth Southgate, the England manager. I think he should have been changed long ago, but it is what it is. It's too late now, so they need to try and find a way. But I don't think they will at the moment, unless there's a bit of a turnaround and they really start to pull together. At the moment, it's more so Turkey that I'm curious about, because the final match that we have in our group is not going to be easy. We got battered by Portugal, and so we're not exactly going in riding high, and we need to make sure we don't lose that game. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think Spain are looking good. I do think Spain are definitely up there. France I've been disappointed by. Before the tournament, France were basically my favourites to win it, but especially when Mbappe's not playing, they're not looking very good. Like, their backups are not very good, and their structure is also a little bit odd as well. They've got some players like sitting on the bench that I think should be playing, but I don't know. I think Spain all round, they've had the best showing of like the kind of favourite clubs at the moment. Well, teams. Yeah, it's very unlikely Turkey won't make it at this stage, but still, I'd like them to not lose 2 of their group games and go through. Okay. Need to start keeping track of what we've actually captured now. I think I'm going to base it around the Xephos. Once the Xephos is up to 10, then probably most of the others should be. But we're still not there yet. Yeah, Turkey are basically through. I think even if we lose, there's a pretty good chance we go through as like one of the best third place teams. So for all intents and purposes, we're basically there. Yeah, still not hitting limits yet. It was a shame to see Modric last night. He looked so devastated. But yeah, his the whole like, it was literally football in a nutshell. When he had his penalty, he missed his penalty, and then it was all kind of like, oh my god, you know, what a horrible moment for him, and like he must be feeling so terrible. And then literally a minute later, he scored a goal and redeemed himself. It was such a like classic. This is the unpredictability of football in a nutshell kind of moment. But yeah, definitely going to try and catch the... At the moment, I haven't had time to catch the 5 o'clock games. I've just been too busy. But the 8 o'clocks I've been trying to watch. Okay, the Wasps have hit the limit. Okay, still capturing those. Yeah, I guess once the stream is over, that's pretty much when the 5 o'clock game will be starting. Maybe I'll kind of cheekily put it on. I need to crack back on with editing. And to be honest, Final Fantasy IX attack-only recording, so... Yeah, I do sometimes use the red butterflies, but at the moment I don't think we really need it. We're getting pretty close. We're encountering them frequently anyway. If we only needed Zephos, then I'd be more likely to do it, but we're still capturing some of the other stuff too. But just as a general note here, in terms of like people sharing like gaming IDs and stuff in general, it's okay. But we've always had generally, like in the 24/7 stream especially, we've always had like we don't want people to share literal personal information and like their personal social medias and that kind of stuff. So people in the chat, like if you want to share like a gamer ID or something, like okay. But please refrain from sharing any like social media profile names or your personal names or addresses, obviously anything like that. That's just one way we kind of try to protect everyone in the community and that kind of thing. So I'd appreciate if you guys just kind of respect that general rule we have about the chat and the community. But if you guys end up finding each other like off stream, like off community, then obviously you guys do whatever you want. But in terms of actually the stream and the streams like the 24/7 and these ones, just try to refrain from doing that, please. Yeah, GPS coordinates are fine. Don't worry about that. You can send those. Okay, there we go. We hit the limit for Zephos. Now I'm going to check the Chimera. And if the Chimera is fully captured as well, which hopefully it is, there you go. Then I just need to do one more check on some of the smaller guys and we should be done. Perfect. Alright, let's have a look. No, still capturing those guys, so it's actually the small enemies, funnily enough. That's what I'm saying. In Makalania, the bigger enemies are not, like the more difficult ones, they're not more rare. They appear pretty frequently. The small fry, yes. I love that phrase. I still use it. Even in games outside of 10 now, I've got used to saying it. The small fry. I feel like it's one of those things I say it and people are like, what? Like, why is he calling them that? But in my mind, I'm like, it's such a normal thing to call them. Right, surely it's got to be 10 of these now. Bloody hell, how many? Wow, okay. The small fry goes on. And then we move to the lake. I think we'll let Lulu get some steals on this guy, honestly, until then, just a couple of extra. Yeah, the sphere level's starting to add up as well. At least once we're actually ready to start trying to move people along the emptied nodes on the grid, we can have enough sphere levels to do that. Imagine having Fiend as a pet, I'd have the Curl. I mean, everything's all fun and games until the Curl wants to use Blaster on you. Gotta be careful of that. Like, I feel like Coco, if she had the chance, she would use Blaster on me. I could 100% see her doing that. Yeah, it's been very, like, big enemy heavy. We've just been encountering these guys over and over and over again. Yeah, exactly. When I tried to do Betty Rub, she would 100% do that. To be fair, she is better in her old age. She's a little bit more accommodating to Betty Rubs. But it's funny, I still do it like extremely carefully and very lightly, and I don't do it for too long because I know that eventually it's gonna turn into violence. Can you get the lizard at the lake? I think you can, but you can't get this guy maybe, or can you? This has surely got to be number 10 of these. How old is Coco? She's 8. She's almost 8.5. It's actually a bit sad. We started to buy her the senior cat food. I think that's not fair. Like senior just makes her sound like pension age. Like for a cat, like it's 7+ I think on the thing, and like 7 for a cat is not that old. I mean, most cats, like domestic cats, they're living for like 15-20 years, man. So like 7 is not. Like senior, I think they're trying to mean as in like, you know, just fully grown adult or whatever. But I don't like the senior tag for a 7-year-old like cat. I don't know. Maybe for some breeds of dogs or something, 7 is much more like, you know, towards the final 20-30% of their lifespan. But for a cat, I don't see it. So no, she's not a senior. She's gonna start eating senior food just in case it helps her, I guess. But she ain't no senior. But did anyone see? I was checking the chat again. Did anyone see if we've hit the limit for the I don't know how to pronounce that guy. Let's have a look at this name. Murusu. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now we can move on. Oh man, that sucks, Rhoda. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, my first cat passed away suddenly. She's actually on the thumbnail of a video, of an old video from like 2016, I think. Or 2015. Yeah, she had this like underlying heart problem or like illness, I guess, that we didn't know. It never showed up in anything. And I think when she was like 7 months old, 6-7 months old, she just unfortunately suddenly passed away. So that was my first cat before Coco. And then like 4 or 5 months later, I decided to give it another go. And thankfully Coco's been in good health since then. Okay, 10 of these guys. Let's go. This one might take a little while. Yeah, Auron can't one-hit KO either. I think Yuffie would fit in perfectly in Final Fantasy X. She's basically Riku anyway. To me, they got the same energy. Especially after playing Rebirth. I just feel like they're very... I see a lot of similarities. Yeah, a lot more of that's going to happen now. Yeah, in terms of pets, I don't think I'd ever want a pet that doesn't have a very long lifespan. I don't want to deal with that that situation. Even some breeds of dogs. There's some really nice breeds of dogs that I'm like, I would love to have one of those, and then when I look it up, it's like they have on average like a 7-8 year lifespan. I'm like, no, I can't go through that emotional trauma like in that short period of time. It's too short for me. Can't do it. Get a turtle, it can outlive you. Yeah, true. But I've always been a bit more of a, like, when it comes to pets, I like pets that I can kind of, I guess, kind of interact with, and like, you know, they show like affection, and you can kind of enjoy that type of relationship with your pet. Some pets, they're kind of too like, they're very like, I guess maybe not domesticated enough, or whatever, however you want to explain it, but because the first like legit pet I had was a dog, I'm just very used to just kind of like petting dogs and just cuddling with them and playing with them, that kind of thing. And so if I have like, I don't know, like a guinea pig or something, I'm just like, I don't know, it just doesn't, or like a parakeet, it just doesn't do it for me. Yes indeed, why not both for Aerith and Tifa, but I've always been Team Tifa. Team Lulu, Team Tifa. Is it some burners that are huge? But yeah, I mean, in general, the bigger the dog is, like the biggest breeds of dogs tend to have short lifespans. Like Great Danes have pretty short lifespans. Just how it is. I guess we have to do this, but then I think do the flyers not appear here? Let me just go on to the next bit. I think they all appear there too. Yeah, I think the flyer doesn't appear here. Or maybe it did and I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to move on to the next area. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, of course it's these guys again now. There it is. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Nice. Wow, yeah, if they made it to 17, they lived a good long life, so that's really good. Unfortunately, it's just inevitable, but you obviously want them to just be around forever, or at least just have the longest life that they can. Yeah, the grind is real, man. It really is. It had been a few years since I've done it, and I've been reminded once again, even with ×2, it's... See you later, Michaels. Thanks for joining us. The mortality of life is what makes it beautiful and worth living. I think that's a very good perspective. Just make the best of what we have. And don't waste it bickering about stupid shit on the internet, maybe. I always found the capturing grind one of the better parts of the post game. So which one's worse? I think luck sphere, like luck stat grinding, probably worse. They're just, yeah, the post-game stuff, I still feel like because there is so much grinding of other stuff, like you need to max out the sphere grid, all that stuff, they could have gone easy on the monster capturing. They could have just made it 5 of every monster. I don't think anyone would have been upset if that's how it was. I can't imagine anyone playing and being like, oh man, like, they only wanted us to capture 5 of each, that sucked. Or even just 1. Just make it 1. But yeah, I totally agree. I think the stat maxing grind is definitely worse than this. It's funny that with that whole Elden Ring stuff, I really think that whole breed of people are just getting destroyed on the internet now. I think they're kind of starting to die out a little bit. I think Elden Ring, especially once the DLC came out as well, is really starting to destroy like get good culture. I think Elden Ring is just not that game. I think people like the veteran players of Soulsborne games try to turn it into that too, but increasingly people just like, we just don't care. Like we're just gonna play the game our way, have fun, just shut the hell up and enjoy it however you want. So I do think for Elden Ring specifically, at least, that's just those guys are a dying breed, the complainers about how people play games. I've seen a lot of them just get cooked online recently. Blitzball can be tedious if you can't get the reels and sigil to spawn. That is true. If you don't know the kind of, I guess the quote-unquote tricks to speed up that process, definitely tedious. No worries, Kane. Happy to help. I did answer that poll more based off Zanmato in Final Fantasy X. Yeah, I think that Zanmato is in its own category. When it comes to Zanmato, I generally agree. But I don't think there's anything in Elden Ring that's as definitive as Zanmato. So. And well, at the end of the day, I mean, in Final Fantasy X to even get as far as Yojimbo and use Zanmato and stuff, it's like you've had to at least put in some work, you know. And because Final Fantasy X is such a story game, it's like if let's say you're really struggling on something and you're on the storyline, and you kind of need to see the ending of the game. If that's the kind of situation you're in, it's just like, do what you gotta do, man. Like for me, the story's always been more important, the journey, all of that stuff, than the gameplay. As much as I love it, of course, I think if I had to prioritize one on my playthrough, then I'm doing whatever it takes to finish the story. Okay, we must be getting close now. Zanmato is very clearly bypassing challenge. Yeah, I mean, 100%. But I think that's also why it's kind of, in that sense, it's almost kind of good. It's almost like transactional. Like the person doing it knows exactly what they're doing, and there's no illusions about, oh, I did this, I did that. It's kind of, I guess with, you know, some of the stuff in Elden Ring, people will criticize you for it, but you're still like, well, it still requires you to do some level of work for it, you know, like I'm playing the game, I'm engaging with it, I'm still attacking, or, you know, I'm having to dodge some of the attacks, I'm doing X, Y, Z. But with Zanmato, it's like everyone knows what it is, so there's not much point kind of complaining about it in that sense. It's like people have made their choice, it's pretty black and white. If you're using it, you know exactly what you're doing. Is it fairly easy to use Zanmato if you understand the mechanics? I think it's pretty intuitive, and well, at the end of the day, even if it's not working for you, you can always just reset and try again, you know. Okay, next up, let's head to Beaconell.
Here we go!
Here we go! But yeah, I do have a detailed breakdown on the channel, if anyone's curious. It's one of my better performing videos, actually. Yeah, I had a lot of fun making that one. A lot of deep mechanics with P. Birdman's help. And we were able to present some of the stuff about Zanmato. Is there anything here that would generally help me? I think some kind of darkness protection probably helps. Okay. Let's get down to business. Okay, good start. Now, are we at the kind of level where we can just dash through here? 3,400. Yeah, I think so. But I am going to steal here. Only problem is, weirdly enough, with the collector catalog, the stamina spring is a steal I kind of don't want. So let's do that. Will Yoji do Zanmato for 2 gil? Yes, sometimes against certain enemies. Like there's circumstances under which he can do Zanmato for 1 gil. It's not something I'd recommend. KCZ, see you later. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining the Shoe Pup Riders. But literally couldn't get any shadow gems. Lame.